Good morning. So lesson 17 today, and we start to find out what happens when your heart is divided between the true God and all sorts of false gods. And it happens with Solomon because once Solomon dies, there is again a difficulty of who is going to be king next. There's not really a difficulty. Everyone knows it's going to be Rehoboam, who is Solomon's son, but a good portion of the country of Israel is fed up with high taxes and all the building projects, and they want relief, and Rehoboam refuses to give it to them, so they rebel. There's a civil war. And it's interesting, the north kingdom is called Israel, and it counts for 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel. By worldly standards, it's the much stronger kingdom. The southern kingdom is called Judah, and it really is just two tribes, Judah and the tribe of Simeon, which is completely surrounded by the tribe of Judah. By worldly measures, that's the weaker kingdom. But the north kingdom falls faster and faster into idolatry. The south kingdom, the kingdom that was ruled by the sons of David, the descendants of David, because God was faithful to his promise to David, they actually stayed faithful longer and therefore remained a country longer. So the north kingdom, we'll find this out in a few weeks, was destroyed only about 200 years after the Civil War, whereas the south kingdom lasted for 3.5 centuries. And even when the south kingdom was destroyed, God brought back a remnant. Remember, the prophets talk about the stump of Jesse and a shoot coming out of it. He never completely abandoned the southern kingdom. So in the north, one of the most famous kings and one of the most wicked kings because of his great idolatry is Ahab and his queen Jezebel. Ahab sets the standard for wickedness. Now, it's important to understand that why idolatry is considered the worst of sins. Because when you are worshiping the wrong God, it's out of that broken relationship with the true God that every other sin flows. So the first commandment is like the foundational commandment. You get that one wrong, you have no chance at the others. If you have the first commandment right, you might still break the others, but you've still got the foundation of belief in God. So this idolatry sin is really, really important. The Lord uses some very strong language as he condemns it. Ahab is a great idolater because Jezebel, his wife, in many ways leads him into it. And Ahab's great opponent is a prophet named Elijah. Now, Elijah often speaks words of judgment against Ahab, but there's an interesting thing here, in many ways in which Elijah points toward Jesus. And the story of Jesus is told in terms that ring back to Elijah. So, for example, you're going to read a story about how Elijah miraculously supplies food for a widow woman for 3.5 years. Well, Jesus supplies food for 5,000 people all in one day. It's a pretty big miracle, but you see the call back and forth. Elijah raises that same widow's son from the dead, and Jesus raises 2, 3, 4 people from the dead before he himself is raised from the dead. But maybe the biggest way that Elijah looks forward to Jesus is in his name. The name Elijah literally means Yahweh is God. Now, Yahweh is the personal name of Israel's God. So Elijah's very name is a confession of faith that says Israel's God is the only God. And it is that dedication to the one true God that really draws us forward to Jesus. Because Jesus' defining characteristic, his defining attribute, is his faithfulness to Israel's God, faithful even to the cross. So we read about some pretty wicked men. At the same time, God has his promise in hand, and he is drawing us forward to Jesus. God bless your reading today. I hope you enjoy it.